I've had some questions from people who are considering Armenia, and one of the most frequent was and is about how you would get around in the city. So in today's video, I'd like to summarize the ways that you can get around, the pros and cons of each. Obviously, the first thing you can do is walk. And if you get into one of the two or three barrios that are very convenient to everything, you wouldn't need any other form of transportation except as an exception, perhaps a medical appointment or a dental appointment. And I'll cover those off in the taxi and bus segment. One barrio that's very, very convenient is Willys. It's at the upper end of the market. It's in the north end of the city. Most of the barrio is within 3-4 blocks of the largest mall in Armenia. It has another upscale food store that has imported products from the United States, Canada, and so on. And within 4 or 5 blocks, there is probably at least 15 restaurants, little restaurants, pizza, hamburger, some international food, Syrian food, as an example. So walking here is very doable. If you have a bicycle, you can cycle. And if you watch the Tour de France or any international cycling events, you see that Colombia is well represented at the top of the cyclists. The country is suited well for cycling. It's very, very hilly. A lot of people cycle. When I drive to Salento, sometimes on Sunday morning, 7:30, 8 o'clock, it's not unusual to pass 200 or 300 cyclists out on the main highway, and that creates its own problem. The government here does not limit cycling to any of the main roads. So in some cases you get a group of 4 or 5 riding 5 abreast, and they pretty much take up one lane of the highway, where many of the cars are driving 90 or 100 kilometers an hour. As an example, driving into Salento, it's a very winding road. The cyclists like to ride there because of the scenery, and you go around a lot of blind corners, especially going up a hill, and a few meters in front of you is a cyclist that you haven't seen until you're almost on top of them. So cycling does create some problems. You can take a bus. I haven't taken a bus for probably most of the time that I've been here, so I can't really comment too much on it. You don't wait longer than 2 or 3 minutes for a bus. There is literally hundreds of them. Actually, there's probably too many. Going to taxis are very inexpensive. Not many places that you would need to go, regardless of where you lived in the city, would cost more than $2.50 or $3 in US funds. The aforementioned Laurellis to the medical center would be maybe $1 or $1.25 for a taxi ride there. There are a lot of taxis. There's apparently 1,700 licensed taxis in Armenia, a city of 325,000 or so. And Uber has recently come here as well. And the comments that I've seen about Uber are very good. The other option is a car. And once the initial outlay to buy it was made, operating a car here is very inexpensive. I drive last year I drove 5,400 kilometers, a little more than 500 kilometers a month. I think that would be a fairly standard amount. I don't think many people would drive more than that. You would need a car really for weekend trips, if that's what you wanted to do, to go into the outlying areas around Armenia, have maybe a lunch at a country restaurant, those sorts of things. But you can operate your car here easily, all in, for under $100 a month. The last thing, which is traditional here in Colombia, and you can't get it anywhere, just anywhere, is the Willys Jeep. The Willys Jeep was imported here at the end of the Second World War. The Colombian Ministry of Defense bought them from the United States. The military there was essentially overstocked with them and had to get rid of the Willys Jeeps. They are very popular here. For example, in Salento, if you go to the town square on the weekend and you want to go to Cocora Valley, where there is the tallest palm trees in the world, you would generally go by Jeep, and perhaps sitting 6 people. Some have been altered to do that. Most are still working the farms. Others are maintained to the highest standards and driven only on special occasions. In Armenia in October, there is a special parade, basically with a lot of the Willys Jeeps. They're loaded down with household goods, loaded down with coffee. A couple of them are tricked up where they sit on the back wheels. There's some sort of a mechanism that's been installed where the Jeep just spins in circles in place, and the driver jumps up on top of his loads, and the Jeep circles and he waves to the crowd. They are expensive in that form. The ones that are very well maintained, paint jobs, chrome, they sell for many times a new car. The Jeeps have a history, and I will include 2 links for stories to them in the description below. You'll have to add the 3 W's and at the front and the .com at the end. To get to the links, Google still doesn't allow me to post links directly. I hope this summary of the transportation possibilities in Armenia has been helpful for you. There are the 6. Really, the Jeeps aren't too active in Armenia. They're more in the outlying rural areas. But you have expenses from walking, which costs nothing, to having a car at perhaps $100 a month maximum. You could probably do most of your business in Armenia using taxis for $10, $15 a month. So that's really in my mind, the alternative. Cycling is dangerous. Driving here is very dangerous. It's defensive driving. They run red lights habitually. They'll make a left turn in front of you from the right lane. No one uses directional signals. If you leave enough space because you don't want to be following too closely, you'll have someone dart in front of you. They put their signals on, the emergency signal, and we'll go into the cafeteria, the bake shop, have a coffee and a pan de bono or a pan de queso for 20 minutes and block the major lane down to the center of town. Transito here is basically non-existent. No one ever gets a ticket, and they they drive that way knowing that there's no consequence for their behavior. That's the end of this video. I hope it's helpful. Hope it gives you some information. There are options, as I said, in one of the barrios, Laureles, even Cuenca, parts of Castellana, you can walk anywhere. So there's no expense on a regular basis. You choose the times that you want to take a taxi. I would really stay away from the buses. They're very clean and no issues. But a taxi, in some cases, is not much more expensive. I think a bus ride now is almost 3,000 Colombian pesos, and the minimum taxi is 4,600, which would get you a couple of kilometers. So in my mind, the taxis are much preferable. Brings me to the end of this video. This is William Hutchison, Armenia, Colombia Realty for Expats, signing off. I live in paradise. You can too.